Hello, everyone. I welcome you all to yet another exciting episode of When You Meet a Leader, only on Rainier Avenue Radio World. I am your host, Vasudha Sharma. I'm an author, speaker, and founder of nonprofit Voice of Planet. Today, I have a very exciting guest with me. She is, a great friend of mine, but in addition to that, she's a budding digital creator and a strong believer of making peace while breaking stereotypes and boundaries. I She works as a technical program manager with a leading multinational giant and has been part of several events, projects. She is a great believer in women's rights, and she's here with us. She's also a beauty pageant title holder. She's a model. So, without further ado, I welcome you all to yet another episode with our guest, Varsha Paul. Welcome, Varsha.
Hi everyone, nice to virtually meet everyone. Hi Vasudha and hi everyone backstage. Thank you for arranging and coordinating this. My name is Varsha Paul and we are getting started with the awesome session and I'm pretty excited about it. So to start with, I can give a brief introduction about myself and then we can proceed accordingly. Does that sound good, Vasudha?
Yeah, sure. Let us know.
Thank you. Thank you. So my name is Varsha Paul. I came from India to US 6 years back in 2016. And back in India, I have done my bachelor's in electronics and telecommunication engineering, followed by which I was working with a multinational company back in India, which is Tata Consultancy Services. And that is when my parents were searching for the right match for me. And sometimes that is how in few communities in India it works. And I later decided to pursue my master's in US, and I did my master's in electrical engineering from the University of Texas at Dallas. And I worked for Microsoft. Initially, I had a little detour to Qualcomm, and finally, I'm back to Microsoft as a technical or certifications program manager.
Wow. I'm so intrigued by all your work in, at such a young age. You are a great achiever of so many different, things you have mentioned. So, if you're ready, I can start asking you a few questions, which, I'm sure all our listeners would love to know.
Sure.
So, I know that you mentioned to me that you are a firm believer in women's right and women empowerment cause is very important for you. So tell me a little bit about that. Why is that?
Yeah, sure. So to start with, I want to say that women's rights was something which was articulated and put into the main movement, which was started by United Nations 70 years ago. And we have made a very good progress now. There are so many women leaders, and women are getting a good place, either in room for improvement. And it is not only giving the right opportunities, it's about treating them right and belonging them to a platform which men are usually, like, by default we consider, okay, a pilot is here. Like, we always seem to associate few movements or few careers which are more inclined towards the male dominated society. But now I see there are so many women pilots, so many women scientists, and that is a great progress. But the room for improvement which I was talking about is something in our outlook, how we think, and how the world and different communities work. So that is something which I want to promote. And I have read your book, Vasudha, that was really very gratefully and gracefully articulated the factors of how women needs to be treated and how the journey of many immigrant women like us has been. So that was really awesome. And that is something I want to take forward to, and in the process work on things like women's rights and movements.
Well, thank you so much for, first of all, reading the book. I am always interested in knowing, how anybody who has gone through it has felt, and sharing your views. But more than that, kudos to you that you have shared great points about, women right are actually human right. It's not just for women. When we talk about women empowerment or feminism, it is for everyone. And when I was writing my book, a lot of people were saying, oh, so you're just writing for women, and maybe they are your readers. I said, no, everybody is my audience, because this is something which is universal. Women touch our life in so many ways, and I don't think it's just women issue. It's an issue which is very universal. And I'm very happy that you feel the same. And you're really, you brought a great point of intersectionality, where we are not just women, we are also you know at a cross path of our race, our immigration, our journey, stage in life we are in. So and yes, I can relate to most of the things you have mentioned, because we are from very similar background. But thank you for sharing that. And I completely agree that women empowerment, and especially women rights and the movement and feminism, it's equal for everybody. It's not just not just for women. So going forward, I want to know, like, you in such a young age, you have traveled to US, you have worked in Microsoft, you've been involved in so many community-related projects. You have also won pageants, done modeling. How has your journey been so far? Just tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. So my journey, I would say it's a continuous learning and improvement process. So as an immigrant, when I came to US and decided to start everything from scratch, it was challenging, but now I can say that it is rewarding also, since I've decided to do it on my own. So starting with things like learning about currency changes, learning about new traffic rules, relying completely on public transport, and getting the university passes. So it's been a learning process, and it's very good to learn about a new country. But at the same time, working with on-campus jobs, juggling between assignment deadlines, midterms, and searching for the right job. So it has been a very good process, and throughout the process I met really awesome people like you, who have helped me and who have a huge role to play in what I am today, about how I enhanced and rehearsed myself as a person. And that's been a great experience. But I would also say that women's rights, which I mentioned about earlier, it somehow, I feel that it starts with something when we are children. I feel and I see that there are inclinations about gifting dolls or cooking sets to girls, and to boys it's cars and things like that, all the machinery related stuff. So starting from that, if we treat even children, irrespective of their gender, thinking that okay, there's a person, be it he or she, maybe that girl likes a car, maybe that guy likes to cook. So it can be like that, and in that way I am putting feminism on top, but I'm also a supporter of equal rights. So it's not that we are trying to demean any male dominated society or trying to put anyone down, but we are just trying to keep ourselves equal to what from now and what till now has been the usual norm. So that is what equal rights for me is, and that originated when I started learning about how the corporate world works. And in few areas it is much better, but there is room for much more negotiation, much more things like equal wages and equal rights, or how a person is leaded, how a female leader is treated, how a male leader is treated. Why not that treatment be equal? So that is also my good takeaway, and I'm still learning. As I said, it's a continuous improvement process, and that would be my assignment for the rest of the life.
Oh my. Well, one thing for sure, you represent a very small section of women who are in STEM or STEAM, I must say, because, that's one of the major thing, I think, major push nowadays to get women like the traditionally more male-oriented fields, which is IT field, software field, and STEM-related fields. And I agree that traditionally there has been a lot of underrepresentation of women in such field. And you come from that background, and you have felt like, it bringing more women to this field and bringing more women to the typically underrepresented areas will definitely help us achieve equality, because then they can understand things from a perspective of both, from men and women. And other thing which you mentioned, a very important point, is the stereotypes. We definitely want to break the gender stereotypes. And I mean, in modern society, when I talk about feminism, I do get a lot of pushback, and people say, oh, women are everywhere, what are you talking about? And it's a tough topic, especially nowadays when there is so much of awareness. And we see women are definitely going above and beyond and trying to achieve things, and trying to even go into the fields which were traditionally not considered the right choice for them. But at the same time, one of the major concern which I had when I wrote the book, and you have reflected that in your statement as well, is women are very underrepresented in leadership position. Even in today's modern world, we see there are very few CEOs which are women. So
Yeah.
typically, very high ranking position, women are there at the entry level jobs. Pay gap is another issue which is still constantly going on. We want to make sure that the fairness should not be just verbal, it should actually be, the company should try to achieve fairness in pay, retention, hiring. And that can only happen, if they pay attention to, getting making sure that they are accommodating diversity. They are trying to make sure that they are diverse enough for their workplaces to run in a very healthy way. So I think all those are great points which you have shared, and your journey is definitely a very reflective indicator that you have seen it firsthand. Why we need more representation for women, especially in such fields. So I will move on to an important question, which, even I get asked a lot of time. How do you encourage women when they see some kind of equality or they experience barriers to not to give up?
So I think it starts with how and what we are treated at home. That age bias. That, for example, in few communities, I won't say throughout the world, in few communities in India and many other countries, if someone sees a woman around 23 to 27 years of age, they will always raise the question of, okay, you are working, you have a lot of things going on, but are you married? But will we ask the same question to a man, a boy? No, I don't think, like, I haven't seen the same question to being asked to my peers or my cousins and friends, but similar ones have been asked to me and my friends who are similar to me. So I want to say that every profession is equal, be it of a homemaker. If someone decides to be a homemaker, which is the toughest and most respectable job, I feel that is completely their choice. But if someone wants to move out of the bias of how the generation or how the family has usually been moving forward to, that is also something which parents or the family members should consider, that okay, this person has a set goals, and that involves betterment of the whole society, betterment of that individual as a whole. And that is something which parents and all the associated stakeholders, I would say, should be proud of and move forward with. and that is where lies the main concept of women empowerment. And I would also like to add that there are several factors which contributes to this. Factors which includes how you're treated at work, how you approach the work. Are you thinking as a male perspective, or are you thinking from a different perspective which people would stereotype? Okay, you're a girl, so maybe you're thinking that way. But Sheryl Sandberg has quoted it very well, that in future there won't be any women leaders, there will be just leaders. So if we just stop using terms like women leader, the first female pilot, the first female so and so, so not separating things, it taking this as a usual norm that okay, this is the leader, and irrespective of their his or her gender, that person can be a leader. So that is something which needs to be carried forward more, and that can be start of a new movement or a part of already existing movement.
Yes, I agree to you to the point where, where the Sheryl Sandberg quote, actually, I have even shared in my book that, we want to live in a world where there are just leaders. There are no women leaders as such. But, unfortunately, there are still so many firsts which are happening. We had the first Black Supreme Court appointment recently. We had the first vice president who is female and a woman of color. So, in this modern age also, there are so many first happening now, which should have happened a long time ago. So that part, I do understand that, people have to bring it out to show that how much underrepresented women have been in these positions, that this only the first time we are seeing somebody like that.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you to the point that we have to look at it like just on a scale of the job, who is doing it, no matter what background they are from, no matter what gender they are from, how good of a job they can handle it. A lot of the times I also get this question that, do you feel people should get certain jobs because they are from certain backgrounds, just for the sake of diversity? I say no. I believe in merit also. I believe that people should have skills. When I talk about leadership, the first thing I say, the most important thing for leadership is to acquire skills.
Yeah.
You just can't be a leader just on basis of, just your traits. You have to definitely acquire your skills. You have to sharpen your skills, and make sure that you're able to handle the job well, because leaders need to be very strong.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's not all it takes. When it comes to minority women, women of color, women from diverse background, we face several challenges and barriers which you have discussed here. So I agree that we have to start looking at it more in a very transparent manner. But at the same time, we have to make sure that we understand the barriers women are facing, also traditionally in these positions which have not been represented by women.
Completely.
So, moving forward, well, I think we're almost in the middle. I want to take a moment and thank Rainier Avenue Radio World for, letting us bring this episode to our viewers and listeners everywhere. And thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you, Varsha, for being on our show, When You Meet a Leader. So we'll continue our conversation. I am having so much fun right now that I can ask you 10 more questions, but we have a time limitation. So I'm going to focus on the most important one, which is how how have you built confidence and resiliency over the course of your career? Like, how do you feel? Like, is it something you're born with, or you have worked on it? Uh, tell me your side.
Yeah, so I would say that there is an underlying skill everyone is born with, and that is, resilience, be it man or be it a woman, it's like resilience and patience. So nothing happens overnight. It's a continuous process, be it learning, be it healing, or be it progressing towards a new future. It has been a very good journey for me, lots of experiences and lots of lessons. And how I practice resilience and how I move forward with it is, previously, like 6 years back, before I came to US, I was always, asked in interview questions things like, where do you see yourself in next 5 years or 10 years? That is obviously a very good question. I see myself as a successful program manager, working with the community and working with causes like women empowerment and equal rights while breaking stereotypes and boundaries. But I would also say that while being said, that has been a good experience. It was not very smooth. It was with lots of ups and downs. And I learned that with time, it's not about setting a long term goal, it's about taking small steps. So it's very similar to treating life as a agile project. So for the viewers who's not aware of what agile project is, it's about building a framework where we are not aware of what the hindrances or what the obstacles might come in the way, but building a framework on what we want, what kind of factors are we ready to put, what kind of efficiencies and materials do we have with us, and with time slowly nurturing it or modifying it, because expectations falls out. There might be situations where I have planned something for the next month and things don't happen as required or as we expect. So being open minded and being flexible with the changes and changing our plan accordingly. And by changing plan, I want to stress on just changing the plan but not compromising with the goal. So that is what I usually say to everyone, my peers and people who want to learn and grow with the society, that it's about a continuous process. It's about treating life as short steps and bringing on the change and accepting the reality as is, but at the same time keeping looking forward to your goals and believing in the fact that there will be a day when you have accomplished some part of it, and there will also be a day when you have accomplished the whole of it, and that's when you realize that, okay, I was capable of all this all along. And I think this potential lies within everyone.
Slowly but surely, you'll be there. I agree. I think pacing yourself is important rather than overwhelming yourself, especially when you are looking forward, maybe 5 years from now. It is hard. I'll tell you frankly, when I get asked that question, I'm like, it's like a sunburst. I think in so many directions. What about my kids? What about my family? What about my career? It's a tough question, especially being a woman. But I feel like focus is so valuable, which you just shared. Keep your focus, and definitely the baby steps. I'm a huge believer in taking those tiny steps and putting the pat on the back, because um, you know I think when we are trying to look at the bigger picture, we overwhelm ourselves so much. Oh my god, I'm going to do that. But we definitely have to understand the process of breaking it up and taking one day at a time. So
Right.
I agree to that 100%. So thank you for sharing your thoughts. So tell me, how do you approach dreams and leadership?
So dreams and leadership, how I approach is, as I said, I treat it as an assignment. Dreams are something which doesn't change. If someone dreams of becoming a doctor or an engineer, that might change over the course of years depending on the expertise. But how you want to become as a person, it lies on the fact that focusing on the things you can change, and then making peace with the things you can't. So things like our appearances, sometimes we can't change our appearance, but how we treat others is something we can obviously work on and change. So leadership for me is a continuous process where I get to learn from my peers, from people working with me, above me, or my subordinates. So there is things to learn from everyone each day, and treating those small moments of learning as, a very good lesson, not like neglecting it. Okay, this person is not equal, or this person is, works at a different domain from me, so what would be my takeaway? So not, there is something or the other which we learn from everyone. And making bullet points in life is also very important, like to do list in life, that okay, for next week these are the small things or small agendas I want to work on. So that is something we need to abide by, and following each and every step that we can achieve with time.
Yes, mini goals. That's
Yes.
what this is about. We
Yeah.
we want to do things we can be happy about and done. And I always say done is better than perfect. If it's done, I'm happy. If it's not perfect, I don't worry about it.
Right.
But yeah, it's important to get it done, and that's the message we have here for all the people who are working on leadership and working on skills of becoming great leaders, that just keep doing it, just do it. So we are very, very close to the end of the show. I want to thank you for your great insights you shared with us. Just quickly, if you can tell me what's next for you.
What's next for me is, I want to, as I said, I'm a budding digital creator, so I want to help people with what I have learned throughout my life and what I've been learning, or with my plans. So I plan to help people, especially women, on advocating them or helping them with the thought process, because therapies costs a lot, and many people are running out of time or resources to approach. So helping with what I learned during my journey with others, immigrants like me or women like me, is what I foresee myself in future. And I would also give them the advice of keeping three different goals: one which makes money, one which helps you with your health, and the last but not the least, your passion. So if you keep practicing all these three, that is what happiness looks like at the end of the day.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Varsha. It was a pleasure having you. And thank you, Rainier Avenue Radio World, for helping us bring this great interview for everybody. Thank you. We'll see
Thank
you
you
next
so
time.
much, everyone.